and welcome to this episode of Cannesversations. I'm your host, Stephanie Beach, and I'm with Carey from AARP. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's very exciting to be here. We are shooting live from CES in Vegas, which has been a little bit of a whirlwind.
Yes.
It's the last day. How's the conference treating you?
Oh my gosh, fantastic. I mean, it's been incredible. First of all, just seeing AARP's presence. I came here last in 2020, and it is enormous now. And I love seeing how age tech is taking off.
That's amazing. Have you been down to Convention Center at all?
I haven't been able to. I've been kind of just at the booth. We've been doing so many incredible sessions. We've talked about fraud. We've talked about 50 plus in tech. We've been doing Trivial Pursuit every night. We had our pitch session last night in the hotel. So I have been just there for the most part.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I need to get out, though. I need to get out.
Not your typical AARP, huh?
No, and that's what we wanted to make sure people were aware of. I mean, aging is all of us, right? So we want to be ready for that. And there's a real ability to design for all, right?
Yeah.
Things don't have to be just designed for 50 plus or just designed for younger adults. But in the design process, we want those designers and those makers and those developers to be thinking about all ages.
Yeah, and 50 is a new 20, right?
It is a new 20.
It is a new 20. I mean, I look at the way that people are aging.
I know.
Well, you look pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And has there been anything that has stood out to you this year?
Since I was here 6 years ago, AI has clearly taken over. Yeah. You're probably hearing that pretty consistently. So it's been very interesting to see that. But in my conversation yesterday with Kathy Stokes, who does fraud for us, we're talking about the importance still of that human element, right? Like AI can't do everything. Right. So we want to ensure there is a human element of things as we go through and we're developing. It'll never really replace people, but it is so powerfully present at this time. It's pretty interesting.
So that's a great segue into some of our questions.
Okay, go for
Let's dive into it. So do you think that brands should be concerned about their ads running adjacent to AI-generated content?
I think it's all still so new, and I'm afraid that we don't really understand it very much yet. I mean, so much of AI isn't quite there yet. Okay. I think we know this, right? So I think there's just risk. I'm really watching with interest to see how all of this develops. I think right now, sometimes things can get conflated for being real when they're not. So I think there's a risk to it, but it's changing really fast.
It is changing really fast, and there definitely is a risk to it. I think, sometimes the control aspect of being associated or adjacent to something that might be real or might not be real, I look at it as back in the day when you did more one-to-one buys, if there was a plane crash or if there was a war outbreak or something that you didn't want to be associated with, people would get so nervous and brands would get so nervous that it was negative content, but you didn't create that to happen, right? It wasn't your fault. But it's very interesting the way that the mentality goes about it.
Kind of adjacent to that, back when I was working in television, it was the same thing on the Travel Channel. Right. We would pull down anything when there was some major catastrophe like that because you don't want the brand affiliated with that.
Right. And so do you think that brands are prepared for a world where consumers are questioning everything because they're not sure what's real and what's not?
I think some brands are ahead of it. I don't know if everybody is, right? Because I think there's still, when I start thinking about AI, I really think a lot about what I was talking about yesterday about fraud and how AI is being used so powerfully to confuse and confound people. So I think some brands are trying to get ahead of it, but I don't know if anybody's really quite ready for it. I feel like we need kind of a czar, an AI czar, to sort of help us go through this and have regulation and guardrails for that.
How can we mix non-disruptive ad formats in live sports to maximize revenue without disturbing the actual experience for the user?
It's a really interesting question. I can, just tapping back into my television days. I mean, product integration is a great way to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a new or groundbreaking thing, but even back then we were experimenting with how do you get the product in there so it becomes part of the story. And I think that could work for sports as well.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what makes it the least disruptive. You do not want to yank people out of the magic of the sports that they are currently enjoying to. Consumers are smart. They're going to know they're being slapped with an ad, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of like make it kind of native.
Right, exactly.
Make it feel cohesive. Make it relevant.
But that's how our lives are too. We're constantly seeing brands around us all the time.
Yep.
Consumers are smart. Recognize that. And I think the more that you can mimic what their life is like and what their current experiences are like, the more receptive I think consumers will be to whatever they're seeing in an advertising environment.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one misconception that people generally have about your audience?
I only get one.
I mean, if there's more than one, go for it.
So I think, there's so many that we talk about. One is that they assume that our audience is not tech savvy. They assume, too, that, it's all boomers, right? And I like to remind everybody that Gen X is now 45 to 61. And by the way, millennials turn 50 in 5 years. Right? So you think about that, and you think about these are people that were raised digitally native. Yeah. People, and Gen X was raised, kind of coming up through school with computers, with tech, with all of this. So this is not when you think, AARP, they're all, like 85 years old and they don't know what they're. No, these are people that treat purchases very differently, things that engage them in terms of activating their brand loyalty by generation, very different.
Yeah.
Their comfort level with tech. A few years ago, we did a study and we saw that only 4% of ads showed older people using tech. Now, 90% of people over 50 have a smartphone. Let me just say that. But these ads, of the ads we were able to find, it was usually a younger person showing the older person how to use it. I'm like, hey, come on. But we have done a great campaign, and we've raised that number. I mean, older people are using tech.
They are, and they have no choice because it's part of everyday life, and it's kind of pushed with cashless paying text messaging, everything, and AI
and
as a search
codes,
of QR codes,
everything. Yeah. And COVID really accelerated that, right? A lot of people started doing telehealth. Yeah. My mother is 92. She does e-commerce and text and everything. Yeah. It's a spectrum, right? Yes. Some people are just using it to make a phone call.
You also need to know how to speak to and communicate to each of the different generations for it to be relevant and 100% to them.
That comes down to product design for all, but also your advertising. So I'll get advertising and I'll test it. As an insights person, I'll test it. And before it goes in, I'm going to be like, I know how the product will rate, but I can also tell you this advertising is not going to work. Most people view themselves in their head as 12 to 15 years younger than they actually are.
Because that's how you feel.
Fabulous, right?
We all feel younger.
We all feel younger, right? And we'll get ads that show people that are 10 to 15 years older that are target. I'm like, this is never going to land, right? So you need to meet people where they are and how they feel. But as I like to say, they are, even though you might feel younger, you are older. Like, use high contrast fonts. Don't use tiny little fonts. Like, I got an ad that was like white type on light blue. And I'm like, this and that. So, ensure that you're creating even the communication that lands in addition to your product design.
Absolutely. So I love everything that you said about that. And I think that it really makes sense. And we really need to understand how to relate to each generation, but also make it easy for each generation, right? So how do you balance relevance with responsibility as a trusted brand?
So this is one of the beauties of working for AARP. Now, I am at AARP Services Incorporated, which is our for-profit division. So we've made a very clear separation of duties. The big AARP is truly one of the most trusted brands amongst our members. You look at trust, it's going down in government, it's going down in media, it's going down for brands, but AARP amongst our members, our trust is incredibly high.
That's amazing.
Well, we're out there fighting for the 50 plus. A lot of people don't know everything we do. There's so much that we do, but we're protecting Social Security and Medicare and, fighting for lower utility costs. And also you have this incredible membership. So we have separated off that commercial piece. So there isn't this sort of issue with what we're doing as a social mission organization and how we are protecting people with the commercial side of things. So those deals are very, very, very separate. But as we go forward, I'm a big fan of understanding and putting consumers in the middle of everything we do. I keep a Procter & Gamble. Like, that was our focus, right? So I want to know what it is that people want.
Right.
And if we can make our brand and our offering and our discounts about who people are today at 50 rather than who they were maybe when we started, right? It's changing. It's evolving so much.
Yeah.
That also makes us a much more relevant brand. And once people discover all the things we're doing in caregiving and driver safety and movies for grown-ups, it's such a vast brand. It's actually just such a pleasure and a delight to be working for this organization.
Yeah, it's so nice. That sounds so great. So are you ready for some rapid fire?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So authentic in-game experience or personalized live sport betting?
Authentic in-game experience. Yeah.
Okay. Voice agents like Alexa and Siri or vehicle operating systems like Android Auto?
Siri and Alexa.
Okay. And this is about streaming ads. So do you prefer non-disruptive overlays or shuffleable pause?
Shuffleable pause.
Me too. Okay. What is your one prediction for 2026?
Oh my gosh. I will tell you what I'm looking at that I'm very interested in is the impact of GLPs.
Okay.
Because as I think about that, the Ozempic effect, as I think about that and that collectively as a nation, we're losing weight, right? And there's repercussions to that. And, you know, there are things that are going to impact healthcare and insurance and restaurants and flight loads on airplanes. Like, what does that do to the cost of our plane tickets, right? If collectively we're losing weight, there's so much happening in that space that it's not really a prediction as much as something that I'm watching with incredible interest to see what happens in dining, in travel, in healthcare and all of that. I think there's going to be some big changes over the next year. We have seen with our population that the use of Ozempic-like brands, GLPs, has doubled in the past year. So that's just going to continue to increase. I think healthcare, diabetes, all of that, that's really important for lifespan. So
yeah, I love that answer. Nobody's answered that question like that this week. So I definitely love it. And it's really great. And I hope that we go back and kind of see how this, you know, turns out. It's a very interesting thing to think about. And I think that you're right. Like it's a growing thing. I think it's great that Americans are looking to lose weight. And it's amazing that we have this to help people that need that help. But I also do think, and this could go down a whole other rabbit hole, it's very much being taken advantage of and being overused just because people are lazy and are just trying to lose weight quickly, or maybe not lazy, struggling, or don't have the means to be able to do it properly.
Right. And once you're using it, I think you have to continue to use it.
Yeah.
But you know, they are seeing the impacts on other things, right? So it's addictive behavior. So I have seen some studies that show that it can help with alcoholism, with drug abuse, with other things that are also addictive. I don't know how far along they are in that pipeline, but it could really help a lot of people, to your point, as long as it's used safely and properly.
Right. And sometimes it's not, and that's what makes it sad. Or it's being taken away from the people that really do need it for the people that don't. But
I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, but you know.
Look, everybody's body is different. Everybody responds differently to different things, and you have to do what's best for you. Okay, so what event do you find most valuable and why?
I think this one.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's made such a powerful impact for AARP to be here because people do not expect AARP.
Yeah.
Our first year we came, they're like, why is AARP at CES? And it's because H-Tech is all of us, right?
Yeah.
We need to demonstrate that we are there at the forefront. And now people know who we are. We had this amazing live pitch last night with 5 spectacular startups who are doing things to help people age. We like to say making aging easier and help people age as they choose.
I love that.
And now everybody knows why we're here. And so that's incredible.
So one last question. What is your Vegas guilty pleasure?
I have a friend who is a Vegas performer.
Ooh.
We went to high school together, actually.
Love that.
Yes, his name is Zoe Bowie, not David Bowie's son. But he performs here, and it is over on Fremont, and it is off the Strip, and it is just this wonderful, incredible, almost local experience. And I do it almost every time that I'm here, and it's great. I go and I probably drink more than I should, and I watch live music, and I go ziplining down Fremont.
I love that. I have not gotten to Fremont yet in all of the years that I have been here.
It's different. It's very different.
I know, and I'm very excited to go. So have you done any gambling?
I'm not much of a gambler, so no, I have not done any gambling.
All right. Well, we have one quick gamble for you from our sponsor at Ziffer, and we have the dice right here where you could win a poker chip.
Oh my gosh.
Are you ready to roll the dice?
Let's do it. Boom.
What do we have here? $25. Awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being here. This was so fun. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been fantastic.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.